Anyways, Luke, we're going to switch gears here a little bit back towards the draft and the draft lottery and everything like that. So Cade Cunningham, widely regarded by most people that you ask out there, is like the unanimous number 1 overall pick in this year's draft. People are rightfully excited about the potential of the Magic drafting Cade Cunningham. If they end up in the top 3, they end up number 1 overall, is what it's going to look like it's going to take to get him. But recently, the other day, on his Instagram Live, Cade Cunningham is hanging with his boys, and they're like, "Cade, where are you at?" People are on Instagram are asking, "Where are you at? Where are you at?" He's like, "I'm in my city. This is my city." He's like, I'm in Orlando." So he's claiming that Orlando is his city. So Cade Cunningham played at Montverde Academy, then went on to play at Oklahoma State, but he's claiming, Luke, that Orlando is his city. So I wanted to ask you, first of all, what did you think about Cade's claim that Orlando is his city, and are you reading into that whatsoever?
I mean, maybe, right? I mean, players have preferred destinations. If Cade truthfully likes Orlando, and it sounds like he does, it means he probably doesn't like snow that much. He doesn't like the cold that much. Jonathan, he doesn't want to go to Minnesota. He doesn't want to go to Detroit. He might be okay with Houston, but all that to say, if Orlando is truthfully his city, maybe he prefers, in the hopes, Orlando's gonna get that top pick. I have no idea, but I wouldn't be surprised if interviews start happening more as we get closer to lottery night and draft night, and you hear Cade saying like, "Yeah, I would love to go to Orlando." People are gonna ask him that, right? Especially if the Magic get the number 1 pick in the lottery, they'll be asking him all about Orlando, and he'll be able to talk about it. And I'm sure we'll find out the most if that happens. But yeah, I mean, just it is what it is. Taking it at face value, Cade Cunningham wouldn't mind being in Orlando, wouldn't mind maybe donning a Magic jersey.
So I'm glad that you brought up those points, because that is exactly the angle that I was taking, looking at this, hearing what he's saying. When I start looking at the top of the draft lottery simulator right now, you look at Minnesota, Houston, Detroit, Orlando, Oklahoma City, Cleveland. Like, Orlando, in my opinion, should be the preferred destination. First of all, obviously, look at weather, right? Like, Orlando, Houston are definitely top 2 in that regard. Who wants to play in Minnesota or Detroit? Oklahoma City gets a little bit cold. Cleveland,
in the words of Joakim Noah.
Exactly. Do you go to Cleveland on vacation? No, you don't. I'm glad that we're on the same wavelength when it comes to Cleveland and Joakim Noah. But then when you start looking at like the basketball situation that he would enter into, Cade probably feels the same way that a lot of us feel about this young core of Orlando. And you talk about Cole Anthony, you talk about Chuma Okeke, Markelle Fultz, Jonathan Isaac, Mo Bamba, Wendell Carter Jr., all of these young guys. Cade is probably looking at that and says, you can plug me right into either that shooting guard or small forward position. I could share the ball with Markelle Fultz and with Cole Anthony or RJ Hampton. And when it's game time, when the game is on the line, the last 4 or 5 minutes, and we need a basket, I could be that guy to go and get the basket. When you talk about being drafted to a franchise and becoming the franchise guy, Cade gets drafted here, and he's automatically that. Like, whatever guy you were to take at number 1 automatically becomes the franchise guy. You could argue that Cade, out of the top 4 or 5 guys that we talk about, Cade is probably the guy that is most ready for that from day one, to come in and don the Magic jersey and say, I'm here now, I'm the guy, let's get ready, let's go ahead and do this. When you start talking about Minnesota, Karl Anthony Towns is already there, D'Angelo Russell is there, Anthony Edwards, he's just going to be another guy there. You talk about Houston, you could argue that Christian Wood is already going to be the guy there. Detroit, he would probably become the guy there, but they've got like a young Killian Hayes, they've got Jerian Grant. They don't have as much young talent as the Magic have. The climate isn't as good as what Florida has. You look at Oklahoma City, they've already got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They've got a few other young guys. You look at Cleveland, it's Darius Garland, it's Colin Sexton. So for all of those reasons, Luke, I feel like Cade, if I'm Cade and I'm looking at everything, I'm honestly trying to be unbiased here, But if I'm looking at all the options, I'm like, Orlando is where I would want to end up.
Yeah, and like you said, you're unbiased, trying to be unbiased, but at the end of the day, it's pretty biased of a take. But I agree with you, especially mainly from the
Spot the lie.
mainly from the weather standpoint. I definitely agree.
That's got to play into it.
You
can't.
Yeah.
If everything is the same, you're telling me Detroit or Orlando, like.
Right. The place that I could see him enjoying in terms of young talent and climate is Houston. Christian Wood, Jayshawn Tate, John Wall, KPJ. Like, they've got some studs there in Houston. That would be a fun team to play for. Once they get their legs beneath them and they add a piece like that, who knows? So yeah, I do agree. Orlando's got to be up there, and especially with him claiming it is his city. I don't see why not. Why Cade wouldn't want to be in Orlando.
I'm getting Young Jeezy vibes. I put on for my city. On for my. Every high school basketball game that you went to
That's
in
true.
the beginning of the 2010s, that was played at every single one of those games. It doesn't matter what campus you were on. During the layup line and the warm-ups, that game was playing without a doubt.